Hey, ladies and gents, and welcome to episode 5 of the Controlled Interest Gamecast, where we talk about video games and everything going on into the industry. As always, I'm joined with Jordan.
Beyond.
And Dominic.
What's going on?
So, what have we been playing, guys? For me, I downloaded the Platinum demo last night with the, as of recording this, the Final Fantasy 15 event was yesterday, or last night rather. Talked about all of that stuff. We'll get into that later in the news. But I played the Platinum demo. Took me about 55 minutes. I played it in a collector's kind of mentality of trying to get as much things as I could through my first playthrough. It was good. Like I said, we'll talk about it later. Played a little bit more of The Division. Still haven't... The Child of Light notice. Still haven't gotten to it. Never going to happen. Been playing Smite. Same thing. And I was playing Metroid. I own the original Metroid on the 3DS. I was playing through that. I was listening to a podcast. I wanted something just to play as I was listening, and I hadn't played Metroid in a very long time, so it was just cool to get back in there. I didn't beat it or anything. I was messing around. But yeah, so the biggest dive for me probably this week was the Platinum demo, just because it was something that was so out of my wheelhouse. And yeah, it was really interesting. So that's what I've been playing this week.
Well, let me tell you, I downloaded Miitomo today on my phone, and it didn't work.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't even open the app, so.
Wow.
That's my experience with that.
I bet you were really bummed out about that, dude.
Well, I mean, it was one of those things. I was curious,
Yeah.
But, oh well.
That's sad. Hopefully that's not a sign of what's to come for Nintendo in the mobile scene.
I mean, I haven't heard of anyone else having problems with it either. Everyone else seems to kind of like it, from what I've heard so far.
Did you finish Automatron?
Yeah, I did. It was fun, like I said last week. Some cool stuff. The robot building is pretty fun. The quest was the quest, I guess. It was there. Yeah, it was fun.
So for me, it's been a long-running topic that I've been playing the original Mass Effect, of course, and I finally completed it this week.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that game. It's like I said, I'm still totally on a sci-fi kick from Star Wars last fall, and totally scratching that itch. I really love Mass Effect. I'm very excited to get into the rest of the series, but since I've heard so many good things, especially about 2, I'm just gonna give it a little break, maybe a week or so before I start that one, because especially since Andromeda has been delayed, I don't want to play them all right back to back and not have.
You want to pace yourself a little bit.
You got
right.
time.
Yeah, exactly. I'd kind of like to string them out up until the release of, or at least close to Andromeda. So finished that game, had a great time. And one thing, Jerrad, you might even get a little upset with me. I screwed up on here with Mass Effect. I didn't even start thinking about romance until the very end, and it was already too late.
Wow.
I screwed. So I screwed it up, but that just incentivizes me for subsequent playthroughs. So I'll come back through and hit up Liara, you know what I'm saying? So,
yep.
Especially since she technically doesn't have a gender, and you can go... Because I don't know if people know this, as forward-thinking as BioWare is, they didn't let you do same-sex couples unless you did it with Liara, who's an Asari, who don't have genders. So all the guys in Mass Effect 1 are kind of boring as shit. Even though Rex and Garrus are cool, Kaidan... Spoilers for Mass Effect, you have to choose either Kaidan or Ashley to kill, and I was like, you know what, Kaidan can go screw himself. So.
Oh wow, you're in my boat. Cool. Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Kaidan's like one of the most boring characters in that entire game. So I wanted to get with a lady because all the guys were boring as hell. So Liara is my girl next time I play. And then besides that, I have started working on the Platinum Trophy for Assassin's Creed Unity. That's my second playthrough there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And really happy with the DLC for Assassin's Creed Syndicate that I just downloaded, the Jack the Ripper campaign.
Oh, it sounds cool.
It's really cool, man. It's obviously about Jack the Ripper. And you know how Assassin's Creed likes connecting everything to history through the Assassins and Templars. So he's like a rogue assassin who's been killing off what the world sees as these prostitutes, but really they're female assassins.
Oh wow.
So he's like going against the Creed, yeah. And takes place 20 years after the main game, and you play as Evie, who's pretty much everybody's favorite character from that game. So they did a lot of things right, and it's even got this like takes place in the wintertime, so it's like snowy London.
That's
and
cool.
There's like this like whole horror vibe because of the Jack the Ripper thing. So I know we had mentioned like with the Bloodborne Old Hunters what is good like essential DLC, and I think this totally is in that boat. I'd recommend Jack the Ripper DLC to anybody who loves Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
So Jack the Ripper was a good guy then?
Well, I don't want to spoil too much for the story just in case anybody wants to play it, but like I said, he used to be an assassin. He's like part of the Creed, and then he's like essentially gone crazy and just started turning against the Brotherhood. So
Oh, okay, I see.
yeah, he's kind of on a crusade in that sense. And they have all these like you play a little bit as Jack, but mostly as Evie. And so they have all these new game mechanics that are based around fear and frightening your enemies. And so you've got like spikes that you can shove into people's arms and make them scream on the ground. You've got like green goblin bombs that you can throw at people and they shoot out orange smoke. So there's a couple other different things that add to like your fear gauge. And so it's a cool new mechanic.
That's cool.
I like the idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll definitely pick up the Buffalo Bill DLC for Fallout. All right, Jerrad, what's the news?
Oh, funny that you'd ask that. So our first bit of news here is that the games for gold were actually released last week, but we wanted to wait for the PlayStation Plus games to get revealed so we can kind of talk about that and see who quote unquote won, even though we're all getting free games, so that's cool.
Yeah, we all win.
Well, you're subscribing to a service, and the games are yours as long as you're subscribed. Let's be clear.
So, games with gold for Xbox One, first half of the month you'll be getting, actually the whole month, 1st through 30th, you'll be getting Wolf Among Us, the awesome Telltale series. And for April 16th to May 15th, you'll be getting Sunset Overdrive, which is a fantastic game. As Jordan has said, I haven't had the chance to play it, but apparently it's a really good game. Has great scores. People love that game. On Xbox 360, the first half of the month, you'll get Dead Space, which is also backwards compatible on your Xbox One. Same with Saints Row 4, that's available the second half of the month. And on PlayStation Plus, you have Dead Star and Zombie, which are available for the PlayStation 4. Dead Star is an arcade shooter, and Zombie was the release title for the Wii U that's now been ported over to the PlayStation 4. On the PlayStation 3, you have Savage Moon, which is a tower defense game, and I Am Alive, which is a post-apocalyptic survival game. And coming to the Vita, we have a puzzle game called A Virus Named Tom and a fish-themed shooter named Shutshimi, which I'm probably saying wrong. Looking at this, I think that Xbox has arguably the way better, not arguably, I guess just a way better lineup for this month. Jordan, you have a couple of things to say about PlayStation Plus the last couple of months?
Yeah, so I mentioned before the podcast that this is our second month in a row where we just got a real bad game. Last month was Reality Fighters for Vita, which is a notoriously abysmal game for the Vita that uses all the gimmicky touchscreen and rear camera
Oh God.
mechanics. Yeah, and then this month we get Zombie, which is maybe not a stinker per se, but like not necessarily a game that people
Are
favor.
clamoring for.
Yeah, exactly. This is not like a game that's looked on positively. So, I guess, Jerrad, your Xbox, and Dom, you play PS4, so I guess I'm the only person here that has both consoles. And being a subscriber to both services, man, Xbox has been not killing it, but they've been on top for a while now because, you know, I get the fact that you're getting more games with PlayStation. They have 3 consoles to give away games for as opposed to the 2 that Microsoft does. But at the same time, Microsoft's giving away 4 games, so it's nothing to sniff at, and they're like they're not knocking it out of the park, but they're knocking Sony's games out of the park in comparison. I mean, Dead Space is one of my favorite games of all time, as well as Sunset Overdrive. So the fact that those games are free is honestly astonishing to me.
Dead
Yep.
Space
And
is fantastic.
yeah, and just the fact that, like I said, that we've gotten 2 months in a row with some PlayStation stinkers, and that's just, it's not all right with me.
Well, the crazy thing is all 4 of those games are really solid games, and they're all different.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolf Among Us, you have an episodic storytelling game, right? Narrative driven. Dead Space, horror, obviously, which is the most horror out of the Dead Space series. Sunset Overdrive, wacky, superhero style game going all over the place, and then Saints Row is your poor man's GTA, which in all reality it's as solid of a game, right? People love the Saints Row games.
Yeah.
And wacky as well, but I agree with you that Xbox is nailing it as far as giving people more of what they want for free. But I mean, PlayStation has some things up its sleeve. Like for instance, Shadow of the Beast, which is a remake for PlayStation 4, is coming out soon, and the release date was actually announced. It's from developer Heavy Spectrum, and it was announced that the PS4 exclusive will debut on May 17th. So on PlayStation's blog post, Heavy Spectrum CEO Matt Birch revealed that the studio made significant changes to the game in the past few months. Among these are updates to the combat mechanics that they feel buttery smooth, while main character Airbron, I believe is how you pronounce it, has been given new abilities that aim to provide much more depth to gameplay. You can see some of these in the video above. And on the article at GameStop from Eddie, it shows a little video showing off Shadow of the Beast, so another PS4 exclusive here. I don't think this is going to get people, this isn't a system seller by any means, but it is a cool little thing that, PlayStation owners have to themselves. And hopefully it's a good game. That's really all that matters, whether it's a remake or not, if it's exclusive or not. Hopefully it's a good experience, right?
But Jerrad, does it have a clean sheet design though?
I don't know if it's going to have
That's
a
what
clean
we're
sheet
looking
design.
for, Jerrad.
Nothing here says clean sheet. Buttery smooth,
Oh, that's...
but not clean sheet.
Talk about keywords, man. Buttery
Right.
smooth.
Buttery smooth. So a really interesting story here, I think is really interesting, is that Ubisoft is opening a new studio in the Philippines. It's going to be in Santa Rosa Laguna, which is 35 kilometers from Manila's main business center. And it'll open up during the spring to employ up to 50 people. And it's going to be working in association with a university there, the La Salle University campus, so it can basically foster young talent. And it's Ubisoft's third Southeast Asian location, which I wasn't familiar with. They actually have a location in Singapore, and they have a location in China, which is really interesting. Obviously, there's no Assassin's Creed this year, but it doesn't mean that Ubisoft is halting production on anything. They have a bunch of games coming out. There's the other Tom Clancy game. What is it? Badlands, I believe it's called. What are the other Ubisoft games coming out this year?
Watch Dogs 2.
Yeah, probably Watch Dogs. I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, support for The Division. There could be something that we don't know about, like a Rayman game or something. Yeah, like Ubisoft makes a bunch of games, and they've been knocking out with the like AAA indie games, as you would call them. Like Valiant Hearts is a phenomenal experience. I love Valiant Hearts.
I think we'll get
One of my
another
favorite
one of
games.
those.
I
this
hope
year.
so.
Yeah.
Did you play Valiant Hearts?
I did not. I've got it all downloaded and ready to go, but because it was a PS Plus game back when they were actually putting good games on the lineup.
That game is sad.
Yeah, I'm totally down with these huge companies making, like you said, AAA indies. I mean, as long as they're not like trying to act like hipsters and be like, "Oh, look at us, we're EA making Unravel," as long as they're doing it for good reasons, which I think they are in both EA and Ubisoft situation.
Yeah, definitely. The next story here is that the Hitman Episode 2 release date was announced. It's coming out April 26th, and from what Jordan said, this was kind of their plan going forward. Is it's going to be about a week, a month and a week from the release of the first episode, and the second episode is taking place in Spain, Sapienza, Spain, I believe.
It's Italy.
Italy?
Yeah.
Interesting. So they're meeting the expectations that they set forth for themselves and for people, right? This is coming out a little over a month from the first episode, a lot quicker than what people are used to with the Telltale games. I think this is good, but from what I've seen, people had trouble playing the first episode. There was a lot of like connectivity issues. People are getting kicked off of the servers nonstop. The release wasn't great for this game, so hopefully they can hit this episode 2 out of the park. It's cool that they're delivering so early on, though, so people are still interested, right?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I don't think people are going to be able to formulate their full impressions of this game until it's, like, the entire thing is fully out. And I don't think they're even putting out a retail disc until next year, so it's going to be a while.
Oh, wow. Do you think this is one of those games that people are just going to forget about in conversations until the full game is out? So, like, you know, it happens with Telltale too, but I feel like because Hitman isn't necessarily driven by its story, it's driven by its gameplay, it's a kind of a different breed of animal, right? For it to be episodic in this way.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting taking this kind of game episodic. We've talked about that before. At least with like Telltale, the episodes, you don't have a full indication of the game as the episodes are coming out. But like a TV show, you have these pillars of like, oh, episode 3, that's the episode you need to play. Whereas with this, it's like they're individual like areas with missions, and it's I don't know, it's weird. It's gonna be interesting to see how this game succeeds critically and financially.
You know, I don't want to talk about this too much because I've already had my own topic about Hitman, but I really think they're just botching the crap out of this release. I think, you know, it was supposed to come out December 1st. The full game was supposed to be out last year on December 1st, or December 8th, something like that, beginning of December. You know, I don't know why they didn't just delay it for a year and put it out this fall as the full game, because like you said, people are not going to bring this up in conversation as, oh, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I love that game. No one's going to go, oh yeah, well I've been playing part of Hitman, and I really like that game. It's just not something that people are going to talk about because it's, in the eyes of gamers, it's not a full game until it's fully out.
Speaking of games coming out, actually, off of that, there are rumors that Call of Duty this year is going to be returning to space, which is interesting, considering that we have these rumors that Battlefield is going back to World War I trench warfare. So these two big franchises are going in completely opposite directions. Obviously, it's a little different for Call of Duty because they have those 3 studios kind of rotating in, right? One comes in, and then the other ones are working on it. So you have a new studio releasing a new Call of Duty game every year. I think that the market's really going to speak on this. It's going to gamers are going to let people know whether or not they want something more futuristic. It seems like the market's flooded with that. I think Battlefield going back to World War I, it was funny because we were saturated with World War II games for the longest time, right? And now we're flooded with future tech. So I'm interested to see which one of these 2 games will, you know, take off.
Man, all I know is I'd much rather play a game set in space than World War I. I mean, depending on how they do it, World War I sounds like an awfully boring setting to me.
That's interesting.
Are you telling me you don't want to play Trench Simulator?
Exactly.
See, for me, that's really interesting because for me, when I play Call of Duty, I don't want to play it in space. I want to play a shooting game where it's more based in things like when I think Call of Duty, I think military. When I think military, I don't necessarily think space. If I want a space game, I want a sci-fi game. You know?
Well, yeah, between the two, I guess is what I'm saying. I'd rather have the Call of Duty space game, but neither particularly sound appealing to me. Generally.
Yeah, and the thing is with all of these, like with Titanfall 2 going to be coming out and stuff like that, and then, you know, obviously there's Halo. I think going World War I, though you're not particularly interested in it, it opens an avenue for people to, when they go to a game store or they see things online and it's like space. This is interesting. I've never played a World War I game. Yeah. You know, I think being different is interesting, and World War I does fit, you know, DICE's, you know, MO. Like it's more comfortable for them to go back to that than to go back to go to space, I think.
Oh, I absolutely adore the idea that, you know, they're trying something different, right? I mean,
yeah,
the FPS genre definitely needs that. It's just they're gonna have to really sell me on the World War I setting is all. If they can do it right, then I'm sure it'll be great.
And both of these are rumors. Neither of these are confirmed. We don't have confirmation that Battlefield's going to be set in World War I, and we don't have confirmation that the next Call of Duty is going to be in space.
I'm quoting you, Jerrad.
Oh, God. Please don't. But for me, I think that Call of Duty being in space is more likely. The Battlefield thing does sound likely, but if I had to pick one of these 2 that I'd had to put money on, it'd definitely be that the next Call of Duty is going to be in space.
Sure.
Especially with the way they're it looked like they were. It's funny how Call of Duty is going more towards Halo and Halo is going more towards Call of Duty as far as gameplay concerned. It's really weird, but yeah, we'll see what happens with these two blockbuster franchises that no matter what they make are going to rake in tons of money. So speaking of tons of money to be made, going back to when I was talking about me playing the Platinum demo, the Final Fantasy Uncovered event for Final Fantasy 15 was yesterday or last night of recording this. There was a bunch of things. So they released a free demo for Final Fantasy 15 called Platinum Demo. It's its own standalone. You take control of the main character of Final Fantasy 15, Noctis, in a younger state. He's a little boy, and you're in a dream that he's having with a companion named Garbuncle. Cool thing is, when you finish the game, you can rename that character to whatever you want to name it.
To anything other than Garbuncle?
Yes, to literally anything other than Garbuncle. I played it. It was 50 minutes. We'll get into that in the topic, but yeah, it's really cool. It's cool that they did the the Bethesda thing of it's available now, like they did with Fallout Shelter. They also announced a little like side game thing, like a mobile game that's going to be in Final Fantasy 15, but you can play it on Android and iOS. It's called Justice Monsters 5. It looks like Pinball meets Final Fantasy. If that interests you. They announced the CG film that's going to be coming out, feature length. It's called Kingslave, and it has a star-studded cast. Lena Headey is going to be voicing the daughter of the king. Sean Bean,
Said Queen Cersei.
Right, Sean Bean, also from Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings fame, is going to be voicing the king himself. And Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad is going to be voicing one of the main protagonists that's part of the Kingslave. He's this really cool character. I forgot his name, but he has like Nyx's, I think is his name, Nyxs or Z or something. And he has like these two daggers. Really cool character. It was announced today that none of these people are going to be voicing the characters for the video game. They're only going to be for the Kingslave feature film, which is kind of disappointing. But those people are probably pretty expensive.
Well, and they're actors. I mean, they're TV and movie actors. So.
But if you're voice acting in a movie, in a animated movie,
I guess it can't be that different.
They also announced a prequel anime series called Brotherhood, which contains 5 episodes. The first one is already up and available at their YouTube page, and it basically takes the 4 main characters and gives you a little bit more information about them from their birth to where you start off with them in the game, which I think is really cool. And they also announced 2 special editions, a deluxe edition and an ultimate collector's edition, which I don't have to go too much into that. Obviously, the deluxe edition gives you bonus in-game content and stuff like that, and the ultimate collector's edition gives you a statue and a bunch of really cool things.
And what's the price on that one?
I believe it was like $300 or $400, right? I didn't check the exact price.
$270 is what I saw.
Does it come with a VR headset?
No. But it comes with a lot of crazy stuff. It comes with like a soundtrack and like a steelbook. It comes with your own physical copies of Kingslave and Brotherhood. So it's like if you're an Ultimate, like obviously that's who these are for. An Ultimate Final Fantasy fan, you're probably gonna want to pick this up. There was only 30,000. I wouldn't be surprised if they're already sold out. They went on sale last night. There's a lot of stuff here. Jordan was actually saying before we started recording, it seems like this was a move for Final Fantasy, for Square Enix to say, we've taken so long on Final Fantasy that we want to give you a lot of cool stuff to be excited for. They announced the release date. That was kind of spoiled by GameSpot early on. There's actually a story talking about how GameSpot kind of screwed themselves for releasing that because now they broke NDA and there's a big old thing with that. But this event was crazy. Were you guys surprised at how much stuff was actually announced for Final Fantasy?
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of skeptical on really they need a whole event just to announce the release date for this game. But, I mean, they kind of justified it with all the shit they just announced. So,
Right.
But I don't think it's shit, and I don't think that's what you meant. But,
well, I didn't mean shit.
Yeah. No, I think people need a reason to be excited for this game. It's almost like, it's like your buddy's like, dude, I got this mixtape coming out. You're going to love it. It's going to be the best thing ever. And then 2 years later, he's like, dude, this mixtape's about to be so fresh. And you're like, all right, dude, well, release it and let me hear it, and then I'll judge that for myself. And that's kind of how I feel Final Fantasy has been, where it's like, guys, we've got this game, and it's just going to be so cool. And they're doing these, like, active time reports or whatever they're called, where they're like updating you on this forever game that they're making. And I just feel like at some point you have to be like, okay, it is coming out at this time. You should be excited for it because it's going to be an awesome game. But because of the fact that we've made you wait for literally 10 years for this game, we've got all this other stuff to keep you excited for it. And like the YouTube series is free. I'm sure that mobile game is going to be free even if it has microtransactions. So like the fact that they're giving away free stuff is even bigger. The demo is free as well. So
Yeah,
that's
given,
that's a big power play for them to get people back on their side, because there's not a whole lot of people that are in their camp when it comes to, positivity about Final Fantasy 15. I'm sorry, Final Fantasy versus 13.
Yeah, definitely. Given like the spot they were in, they did everything right during this event, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everything they could have possibly done right, they did. Obviously, up till now, like you said, it's been, what's going on over there? Is this coming? Or yeah, exactly. But this event was good, definitely. I mean, it grabbed my interest as someone who's never played any Final Fantasy ever.
Exactly. It grabbed my interest so much that as soon as it ended, I downloaded Platinum Demo and I played it. It was about 50 minutes. And you know what? I'm just going to transition to the topic right here. Thank you guys for listening to the news portion. We're going to hop into the topics.
Thanks again, everyone, for watching and or listening. If you like what you heard, be sure to give those like and subscribe buttons a quick click. Every little contribution can help to make our channel grow. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at CTRLINT. That's Controlled Interest. See you later.